Hello and welcome back to the How I Ripped Off Buffy the Vampire Slayer podcast, the penultimate episode.
Oh my god.
What are we going to do when this big hairy sack of bollocks is over? My name is Tim Thompson and I'm joined as always by MC.
That would be me.
And this is the notes for Series 5 of Tomuarigassen. I can't believe I tried to drag this out to 5 seasons and 2 spin-off seasons as well. That was ambitious, wasn't it?
To be fair, you almost got there.
Nearly. Tried so hard. I got so far. But in the end, it was bollocks.
Big hairy bollocks.
What happened last season, MC?
Christ. Fuck. All the things.
Is that you? Is your way of throwing over to me? Like, shit, what did happen? Well, we had the gang moving to England, London, starting a B&B. That happened.
The Tokyo Memorial Bed and Breakfast, thank you.
MC was a terrible father.
Quite a lot. And a terrible friend.
Yes, just a terrible human.
Yeah.
Yeah, which we like to reiterate every single episode by just making it a little bit worse. You know, he was like ignoring his child, then he locked his child in a room, then he threw his friend out, and it was just bad.
Yeah.
And then randomly decided to love her in the last 2 episodes.
Yeah, that was a 180 that I didn't quite believe.
It's hard because obviously the last few episodes we only went through the notes with, so we didn't get the full development.
Yeah, so Christ, what even was it? MC saw Tifa. Well, what he thought was Tifa. I felt like the ending to season 4 was really unsatisfactory. Yeah.
And probably might have been a bit better again if they were full episodes. Yeah. But it was a bit confusing because Tanis, the gardening witch doctor, showed up again.
It's confusing, you say?
Yeah. Banged the ghost that lives in the B&B, and they had a little team up.
Yeah.
And they seemed to win the day because Mrs. Lansbury was still knocking around. Amy is dead. Had a little neck snapped by Tanis, which was a slightly dark way to end things.
And unexpected.
Yeah, I was not expecting that.
Because it seemed like MC had won, and then Tanis is like, no.
Yeah, but there was a whole thing where Terry kind of revealed, of course, the newest member of the team for last season, the wizard pub landlord, or pub landlord no longer.
When he thought gardening witch doctor wasn't dumb enough.
It's like if you've got some sort of magic ability, it's like wrestling. You need like a second gimmick, like a real job as well as a wrestler. But obviously Terry's pub got shut down by the health inspectors because of the demon dick selling pill, demon dick selling pill joke wank. So MC finally bonded with Amy only to have her killed off, which is how that ended. Yeah. Jay is now working for his father again after being blamed for bringing back the virus that put Louise in a coma for a while.
Yeah, and with Jay, we're hoping that he'll get back to the side of good.
Yeah, whether he thinks he's kind of working within the belly of the beast to try and make things better.
Yeah, but I mean, it was kind of... he was in a desperate time, wasn't he? After getting kicked out by the gang. Mm-hmm. Well, kicked out by MC, that's not...
But no one else gave a shit, so... Yes, it was a very, very confusing ending, I found. Not very satisfactory at all. And now we go into Series 5 MC. Obviously, we had Gav trying to propose to Louise as well.
Yeah, Louise isn't in a coma anymore.
Yeah, that was pretty much her role for the last season. Didn't have much for her, apart from babysitting and coma. That was all Louise got. The only female character got a coma and babysitting.
It was all due to the miracle of lead furnaces.
And I always intended this to be the last season as well.
Thank God. Yeah.
And we kind of saw what happened with Chip and what he was going through in season 2 of Chip when we went through similar notes. And how he was kind of questioning the Ku Claw and their whole life as crime-fighting supernatural ninjas. So let's see if that bleeds into Series 5 of Tomuarigassen MC as we get into Season 5 of Tomuarigassen MC. Starts with MC still mourning the loss of Amy.
Does his mourning take the form of like running through the streets, clicking his heels, singing to himself,
doing cartwheels? I like the next line, which says, "This continues for a few episodes."
And then it's done. It's like, that's enough now. It was just my baby daughter dying tragically.
But you think how badly he handled Tifa's passing and death.
Yeah.
And now his one and only daughter from his dead girlfriend is dead as well.
I guess when you say it continues for a few episodes, I guess like him sort of when all he does in the episode is mourn, and then other things will come along and he has to deal with them.
And imagine he's gone quite dark as well.
Yeah, oh God.
As it says here as well, he's alone, not taking any prisoners until something shocks him back into who he really is.
An arsehole?
Maybe. He rejoins the gang, end of episode 2. So...
Okay, so yeah, this is like this is the reaction to Amy dying, obviously.
Yeah.
And then, like, it's not that he stops mourning, it's that he's sort of forced to go back to crime fighting or whatever.
Yeah. I like the vagueness of something shocks him back into it and he's fine. Maybe like Louise just slaps him or something and he's like, yeah, you're right, I should stop doing this. Just pull my bootstraps up, stiff up a lip and just crack on. You know, can't mourn a dead daughter all day. Louise starts to fall for MC.
Why?
I don't know.
She like, maybe I shouldn't date a 14-year-old.
He was 50, all right?
And 14 and a half. That's not... After all the fucking time they've been together, it's dumb. That's like when a series has been going for like 12 seasons and they've run out of ideas and it's like, well, these two characters haven't had a thing yet, so...
I present to you Spike falling for Buffy, which I'm not really so much of a fan of, and Cordelia and Angel almost ending up together as well, so maybe it's along those lines.
Yeah.
But there's been no hints of it, really, is there? Like, Louise has always kind of stood up for MC.
They've been friends,
Yeah.
even though they shouldn't be.
No.
And Louise should have left a long time ago.
And there was a thing in season 4 when they were visited by ghostly visions.
Yeah.
And Gav's former mentor came back to say that that MC and Louise would betray him.
Yeah, but even at the time, I didn't interpret that as like a sort of romantic thing. It was always like...
Maybe that's what I wanted you to think.
Oh, such a good writer.
But that is something I enjoy doing, is kind of putting in those little things. Because Gav had a whole thing, like a vision about Louise telling him about something about the future as well and how they wouldn't make it. So maybe there were some hints towards this.
Interesting.
Louise starts to fall for MC. It isn't returned, but it drives a wedge between Louise and Gav.
MC failing to hold emotions for someone else other than contempt and indifference? Surely not.
So do they just live in the B&B where Louise is in love with MC, Gav is in love with Louise, and MC's just eyeing up Gav? Like, that's why he threw Jay out. Oh my God, it all makes sense now.
Oh my God, they're all paedophiles. It's the curse of the Ku Claw. Gives you ninja powers but makes you a nonce.
Oh, that's why Chip went with someone who was barely 18. Oh God. Gav leads a different life towards the end. Almost falling in with the wrong crowd, if you like.
He's off, staying out all night, drinking cider in the park. He's got a little permanent marker doing his little graffiti tag on public toilets.
He hasn't done his homework in weeks. So, I like that I wrote a note to myself as well. It's like, if you like Chip, oh, thanks, Chip. I might think about that when I write it. Yeah, it'll be fine.
Good suggestion, Chip.
So I'm glad we've got another white protagonist that's going off the rails slightly, because that's always great, isn't it?
Such a change.
So Gav is leading a different life towards the end. He's with the wrong crowd. I mean, and the next line ends with him being turned into a vampire, coming back to try and kill the gang. Chip kills him.
Oh, okay.
I think that was in the prophecy, the dream prophecy that he had as well, that Chip would end him or something like that, or kill him.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I really did plan that far ahead.
I'm not sure I really like the whole Gav turning into a vampire. It's not very satisfying as a plot thing, isn't it? Wait, in the Angel comics, didn't Gunn get turned into a vampire?
Yes.
Okay, well, that explains a lot. Yeah.
Yes, he did, MC. That is exactly right.
Now that makes sense.
I'm surprised Gav didn't also become a lawyer and turn black as well. He's like, I want to be called Charles Knife now. So I guess that must be the very end. Maybe Gav becomes the big bad of the season then.
Yeah, that would make sense.
One of them. Maybe I was doing that really weird mucky thing where there's various ones throughout the season or something like that. Yeah, another one of the gang goes evil, and we had hints to Gav being like he got adrenaline boost from being bitten by a vampire, didn't we? And we said he was going to go O'Reilly.
I can't remember if that was an actual thing or a thing we just made jokes about.
I think there were definitely hints towards it, and we pushed it a bit further.
Right.
And we were worried it was going to go that way. So I wonder if this, bad crowd that Gav has fallen in for.
Hey, why didn't you try a vampire bite? Go on, you'll be cool.
It's a bunch of chavvy vampires.
It's not smoking, though, is it?
So I think there's probably a progression there into where Gav is going this season. Sorry, Gav, you turned into a vampire again and got staked again. Because we had Gav the vampire in a really early season.
Oh, yeah.
Because obviously this was all based around my friends and we didn't know Gav very well at the time.
Yeah.
So I just took his name and named a dumb vampire after him who got staked. And then ends with Gav becoming a vampire and getting staked again.
What a disappointing end for Gav. I'm sorry, man.
Series needs to be lighter.
We start with MC mourning the death of his baby daughter who is tragically killed by a gardening witch doctor.
That's why he gets over it by the end of episode 2.
The relationship between Louise and Gav ends, which is the only bright spot in the entire series.
Then Gav dies. Hey!
Laugh a minute.
Oh, dear. Series needs to be lighter, not in a complete comic sense, but let's make a bit of a break from the deep psychological states all the characters have been in.
Let's just revisit how you spell psychological here, because it's like zoological. PSHCOLOGICAL.
Well,
there's no Y in it.
Yeah.
Physiological. Psychological. Sounds like a medical condition. Well, I'm afraid you have psychological.
Whatever it is, we need to get away from it, okay? There was too much last season. It's interesting that even I was kind of sick of all the darkness. Because the last season was depressing. Yeah. There was not a lot of hope in that.
Yeah.
So even I was like, I need to get away from this. But I've got to deal with this whole dead baby thing. And the whole Gav is a vampire thing. So it's like episode 1 and 2, horrible. MC's all dark, crying all the time. The last 2 episodes, Gav is evil, he's a vampire, he's trying to kill them. But before that, it's like a musical on Broadway. Need to return Jay as well. Maybe MC goes for the angle of trying to rebuild the family. Maybe even suggesting going after Chip, bringing him back. But discovers Chip is doing good elsewhere.
Okay, so is this MC's way of dealing with the death of his daughter?
Yeah, I think it's like a healing thing. Because we were saying, how much of a shit person he was last season. I think even I've realised that as a 17-year-old, however old I am now. And
how old you are now?
Well, not now. Oh no, don't give the game away. I'm actually 17. Still older than Gav. But yeah, maybe this was my attempts to heal and kind of have that lighter tone as MC is like, look, maybe MC comes clean and he's like, look, I know I fucked up, I know I was a douchebag, but I want to make this better. And that's why Louise falls for him.
Because he turns into an actual human being.
Yeah, a nice person.
My God.
Oh my God. And yeah, maybe he recognises he did Jay wrong. And not that he did Chip wrong, but maybe he's like, maybe we'll give him a second chance. The old second go around, eh?
I don't know, to be honest, if I was Louise or Jay and all of a sudden MC started being nice, I would be really suspicious. I'd be like, he's definitely possessed or something. He's waiting for us to lower our guard.
They'd have to do the thing MC did to that guy on the boat when he thought he was a demon, just snap his neck, just in case, I'm pretty sure. And obviously, MC never really knew where Chip was or what he was doing.
Yeah.
Because Chip just disappears at the end of season 3.
Yeah.
And it's only Jay that knows he's in New York.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
So maybe Jay tells him eventually when they sit down and hopefully chat it out when MC's like, I am so sorry.
Yeah.
You don't have to forgive me, but I want you to know that I am very sorry.
He wouldn't say that.
No.
He'd be like, oh, you're going to cry about it.
No, don't do that. I have hope for season 5 MC. Back to basics. First series. Vampires, zombies, bad guys. Do you know what? I actually went back recently and listened to a few episodes from the first season. And it's so different. And there's so many things I was like, oh, I wish I'd cut that out. And the sound quality is terrible and stuff. Yeah. Because I think there's much less editing. So, I always cut out when we do that thing where we smack our lips together and stuff like that. Because I don't think it's very nice for the listener to hear. But there's so much of that, and because I was in my old flat back then, it's really echoey and stuff. But it's interesting that I wanted to go back to the idea of it's back to basics. Here's some vampires, here's some zombies, throw in a couple of mafia people and some deranged monsters that can't be killed with weapons and stuff like that as well.
I mean, you say earlier that you want the series to be lighter. Maybe, I mean, it was lighter back then, so maybe that is you trying to be lighter. You're like, well, I know how to do lighter. I'll just go back to how I used to write.
Maybe all the episodes are a page and a half long again as well. Storyline with huge uprise in zombie population. Could be Jay's dad, as he has links to them before. Because, he owned the genetics factory. And was...
Office,
sorry. And was funding the 2 evil ninjas. Yeah. Jack and Lee.
Yeah.
And they had an army of super zombies at one point that could only be killed
lots
by...
Of armies.
They could only be killed by swords piercing their guts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
This army of super strong, quick, and smart zombies have one incredible flaw. So maybe he's found a way to make them have big, nice guts that don't die. They melted as well when they got stabbed. That was the thing.
Of course they did.
Yeah, so non-melting super zombies.
Yeah. With big, nice guts, as you just said.
Well, you can tell what I'm into.
Jay's dad gets a science team, kidnaps them. Right, I want zombies with big, nice guts that don't melt when you stab them.
Oh, that is...
Wait, what are you talking about? I'm a pharmacist, I know.
Look at season 1 again, okay? We need this dumb shit. That would be kind of interesting, though, if the main threat was a zombie apocalypse. Because there's only been little patches of zombies here and there terrorising little patches of people.
That's true,
so a full-blown zombie apocalypse could have been, not different, because that's been done loads of times, but interesting.
Yeah.
Think of that Tricky song when writing opening episode.
Which Tricky song would that
be?
Which
Tricky song? Hell is Around the Corner?
Yeah, maybe. That would make sense.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of my favourite Tricky songs. So... that would be quite cool to set an episode around that. That's got a cool kind of
zombies
vibe.
And stuff. Yeah, I dig it.
MC being all dark and stuff on the street, taking no prisoners.
Yeah.
Have MC make a lot more gadgets and be more loaded up when he goes out to fight. So he's Batman now.
Well, there's been plenty of times when they just haven't had any weapons on them.
Yeah.
A lot. So he's finally learned. It took the death of his baby daughter.
Well, you know why that happened? It's because the weapons room back at the mansion blew up. So they lost all their weapons.
Even then, they were like, oh, might go out to fight some zombies. What shall I take? A stick.
Well, if you can stab it, if they haven't got good guts.
That's true. Nice guts.
Nice guts.
Big, nice guts. Oh, look at the guts on him.
I can't believe in the penultimate episode, I said big, nice guts. In a very sort of Tomuarigassen kind of way. Slowly have Gav pushed out of the group. In episode 2, he's just about to propose to Louise when MC turns up. Knuckles bloody from punching the wall.
Oh, what a badass. No wonder Louise fancies him now.
Must be all that angst. Gav hasn't got enough at 15. Have episode where they save Jay from his dad's offices. Fairly early, MC is redeemed over losing Amy and Tifa, finally.
I like how he's redeemed. I was like, well, you're still being a fucking arsehole for the last 2. No, I'm redeemed. It's fine.
It's fairly early as well. So
do you mean redeemed, or do you mean he sort of comes to terms with it? And...
Yeah, I clearly didn't know what redeemed means. Means.
Big nice guy. You've been doing this too long, man. You're regressing into 15-year-old Chip again.
I should just be banned from writing anything from now on. Yes, like a redemption, I think I mean.
Yeah.
But I think it would have been... I don't know. I'm in two minds about this because it would have been a bit obvious maybe to have Jay maybe go a bit evil and get into with his dad's family a bit more. But maybe saving him early is a bit too quick. Like, it kind of just blows that story away because it's quite a dramatic ending.
Yeah, that's true. I guess maybe it was an attempt, a reason for MC to go after Jay. Mm-hmm. Like, he finds out that Jay is, perhaps like Jay doesn't really go along with the program. And then his dad is like, right, well, you can stay here until you be all evil and stuff. That sounds like Shinna Khan.
It was Shinna Khan, yeah.
He has to stay there so he learns to be a proper member of the family, and then MC and the gang find out, and then he decides to save Jay, blah, blah, blah.
Or maybe Jay was like, I'm not going to do all the evil things, and his dad like tried to shoot him in the hand again or something. As Gav becomes isolated, he goes out at night, coming home later and later, past his curfew. But Louise doesn't notice. This is how he falls into the wrong crowd.
It really does sound like he's just going to the park to hang out with the hoodlums.
He's drinking White Lightning.
He smoked a cigarette.
Maybe have it so Jay's dad does care about him, but he's just too corrupt and seeks revenge on MC for taking his son away from him.
Okay, that's quite interesting. In that Jay's dad, he does actually care about his son, but his way of showing it and his whole mentality about it is just so messed up that he does evil stuff.
I think it would be tough to get that across, considering all the horrible things Jay's dad has done.
I guess it's like the sort of, probably a bit cliche, but one way to do it would be to show like Jay's dad's upbringing. Ooh. And have like, his dad being a dick to him. So this is like a cycle that's sort of continuing.
I like that. Yeah, that's cool. Well done. MC feels for him, sorta. He tells Jay it's up to him what he does. Jay tells his dad he never wants to see him again. Jay's dad eventually slits his own wrists. I'm glad this season's a lot lighter, more comedic.
And then his dad kills himself. Hey!
Amy's dead. Gav dies. Jay's dad slits his wrists.
I guess it would be difficult to have a different... If you don't want the angle of Jay's dad being an out-and-out villain, if you want him to be this sort of quasi-sympathetic character...
I don't know how you can do that.
But you, at the same time, he's so bent on his worldview, he can't... The only way he can show affection for Jay is to try and mold Jay into himself.
Yeah.
So you can't have MC killing Jay's dad, because if he's not so much a villain, that isn't such a satisfying resolution.
Yeah.
You could have Jay killing him, but...
They're full Game of Thrones.
Yeah, but even that's quite dark.
Yeah.
You can't really have a sort of Jay's dad going like, you know what, I've been wrong all this time, let's go bowling.
Like MC literally has, yeah.
So I guess this is sort of maybe Jay's dad realises how messed up he is and how he's never going to be able to change, and he's never going to be able to leave Jay alone because he's been keeping tabs on Jay this whole time.
Yeah.
So maybe this is like the only way out for him, the only way to sort of break that cycle.
Yeah.
So he's sort of sacrificing himself for his own son, kind of.
So in a way, it's like the only way he can redeem himself is by killing himself.
Yeah.
Because then he won't be a bad influence on his son's life.
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of interesting. Probably not what I was going for, but that is a really good way of doing it. Yeah. There's almost like a sins of the father kind of feel, isn't there? Like MC has to redeem himself, and then Jay's dad has to do it as well.
And then MC kills himself.
Louise has to tell MC that she loves him, but it's Gav that gets it out of her first. MC knocks her back.
Not literally, I hope.
Not because he can't be with anyone, but because he just doesn't love her. Well, it's not because I don't love anyone, it's just you, all right?
I'm sorry, I know I'll never compare to low-fat butter. That'll always be number one in your life. It's just I don't respect you because you're a secretary and a woman.
In defence of this, though, which I never like to say, it's, that way we don't have the characters having a romance then. It's a bit
doesn't
different.
make any sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it's not like
true,
MC's like,
true.
I totally love you too from nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, you're my friend,
and
I'm just your friend.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, sure. It was just phrased in a way.
Very poorly. Go with zombie storyline. Use zombie survival guide to really explain the mystery of zombies.
You mean just rip it off?
Just steal it. Jay's dad making them. Okay, so it's gonna he is making an army of super zombies and then feels bad about that, I guess.
Sure.
Maybe there's a bit where the zombies nearly get Jay and he realizes, oh no,
that's bad.
Better slit my wrists. Yeah. Need some more stuff with Terry?
Yes,
Question mark.
Yes.
He's been such an afterthought.
I know. It's not fair. He deserves better.
Yeah, that kind of happens with the second season of Chip in a way, because it took a long while for me to write anything about what was happening with Kat and Ridley. So maybe Terry's going the same way.
I guess at the time you were so focused on writing a story with like our friends in it.
Yeah.
And these, I'm pretty sure we weren't friends with a pub landlord wizard named Terry. I don't know. Maybe I'm misremembering.
It's probably just wishful thinking.
Yeah. So yeah, from that perspective, it makes sense. Not narratively, but from the mindset of you, it makes sense to phase them out.
Yeah. Well, need some more stuff with Terry, or slowly write him out. Maybe have him meet a woman and leave London. Oh, it's such a shame. Like, it's such a cop-out of, like, I don't know what to do with this character. Write him out. It's done. At least he didn't die or slit his wrists, I guess. But it would have been nice if he'd, like, maybe gone away to be with his kids that he doesn't see or something.
Yeah.
Because there's been no mention of that at all.
A better resolution. And if you can have a more light-hearted series, you need Terry.
Yeah. Oh, my God, yeah. He is light-hearted personified.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry we did you wrong, Terry.
If it was about how Terry gets treated than the actual real people.
Episode where lunatics take over an asylum.
You put asylum, asylum.
Thanks to an early experiment with Solomon?
By Jay's dad. Is there a bit in the the only thing I can guess, there must be something in the zombie survival guidebook where there is like a drug or a virus called Solanum that turns people into zombies.
Okay, maybe. So maybe I was literally going to rip that off then.
Yeah.
And just steal it.
That's my first guess.
Okay, cool. MC has to get in to stop it.
I think he would get quite ready, quick access to any mental health services if he just describes any aspect of himself.
And then the gun in Witch Doctor snapped the neck of my little baby that I've only just learnt to love. Right this way, sir. But again, it does seem to be the theme where Jay's dad is maybe the antagonist early on.
Yeah.
Maybe making this army of zombies. It might be one of those things, again, like the December Form, where it kind of got resolved a bit earlier, and then we kind of moved into other things. Yeah, into Gav, yeah.
Yeah, I guess like the first bit when they're dealing with Jay's dad is when Gav is staying out till like midnight.
Christmas special. Jay's dad does something to make him vulnerable.
Make them vulnerable.
Oh. Okay.
He said make him vulnerable.
Yeah, but the gang?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, must be.
Okay, and that's the Christmas special.
Yeah.
Cool. Episode where Louise dreams of an alternative universe. Maybe that's how she finally realises she's in love with MC. Go very Lynch with it. Towards end of the series.
I would have loved to see Teenage You try and do a David Lynch
I
style.
don't know what I would have seen. Probably only Blue Velvet at that point as well.
It would have been Jay's dad just with like a...
the gas mask.
Yeah. It's Jay's dad, you fuck! Where the fuck is my selenium?
So, it's a dream episode where Louise... Is it actually an alternative universe, or is she just dreaming of it?
She's dreaming of it. So I guess it's like an alternate timeline where, like, if this had happened, then blah, blah, blah.
So I just write it as an alternative timeline, and then we'd be like, oh, but it was all a dream.
Yes.
Ooh.
I think you'd literally just watch a David Lynch film and like, I know about films now.
He does things with dreams. And all the characters took backwards.
And there's a midget there.
Have an episode that shows Gav isolation. Nah, can show this over time.
I guess you're trying not to make it too heavy-handed, maybe. Like, it's trying
like
to be
last season, you mean?
A gradual development.
Yeah.
Or you just don't like Gav anymore as a character. He's like, right, fuck that guy. He's going to lose his girlfriend. He's going to turn into a vampire. He's going to get fucking killed at the end.
Just going to write all these characters out.
Did you and Gav having a falling out or something?
There's not a lot of new characters.
None.
Jay's dad, in a way, because he becomes more of a fuller character than he was initially, because he's only around for a very brief spell early on. So maybe Jay's dad, but there's not a lot of new people coming in. Whereas Chip had quite a few new characters.
Yeah, but I guess... Oh, yeah, that's true, actually. I can say, like, the last series probably isn't the time to introduce them, but then Chip does.
Yeah. I think there is definitely an effort on my teenage part to kind of bring everything back to the original kind of group.
Sure.
But I think we'll get into that as we get into like the ending of it. Mm-hmm. At the start of episode 1, have a section where the gang, Chip as well, appear out of a crater of some sort. They are beaten and bloody but happy. They celebrate hugging each other. This basically the happy ending to Tomuarigassen. Have the writing speak about their victory. They are beaten, but together, etc. Ooh. So
this is like a dream sequence?
This is kind of tying into the... what do we want to call it? The final episode, like the goodbye episode, because there was going to be a crossover between the two shows, and that was going to be the very end. So the movie special?
Sure,
we'll call it that. Oh, God.
It's very Whedon-like, with Serenity.
Episode with a man, probably a guest at the B&B, has a nightmare every night, but doesn't know why. See, ideas already written down.
Cool.
Where are these ideas written down? I don't have those. MC doesn't want to kill humans anymore because he sees that as a choice. End a line.
I presume you mean and.
Yeah, he doesn't want to cross as it makes him feel less human. A disagreement he and Chip have in final episode.
So this is like the comic book morality thing where you can just beat the shit out of anyone you like so long as you don't kill them. Was that you sent that guy in coma for the next 10 years because he stole a wallet? That's fine. You're a good person.
I imagine MC was doing a lot of human killing in the first few episodes, like of bad people, but still. An episode where Lee turns up dead, dying, or eventually dies. Ooh, so many options of what we could have done there. Does he start MC off on a passage of Why Am I a Ninja? Lee finds something out, is chased by the Coup Claw, or someone else who can't let the secret out of the bag.
That's really quite interesting, though, because you needed... If both Chip and MC are to go down the route of sort of questioning the Coup Claw and their origins and all that, you do need something to set them off on that path.
Yeah, absolutely. So this kind of feels like... It feels like Chip is more maybe investigating those feelings more, because obviously he had his time in prison where he was thinking a lot more when it was away from the fight. Whereas maybe it's nice to see Lee again because he's just been off doing his own thing. I don't know what he's been up to. We haven't seen him since season 2.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
So he just turns back up and is either dead, dying, or eventually dies. But yeah, he's maybe got some info on the Coup Claw as well.
Yeah.
Well, that's the end of the kind of the basic notes and ideas that I had, and I have planned out a couple of episodes, kind of similar to what we did with Chip, where there's a few basically planned out. So we've got 3 episodes. So let's see how season 5 would have kicked off.
Hopefully, it will end really disappointingly, like Chip did.
Episode 1. MC is out on the street, alone, still mourning the loss of Amy, and basically a hunter. Louise and Gav are running the B&B and still out looking for MC. So I guess MC's kind of living life on the streets. It's quite a vigilante kind of thing, like a Casey Jones.
Yeah, but he's so immersed in the hunt to sort of distance himself from, not having to think about Amy and that sort of stuff.
Jay is working for his dad, trying to avoid all the nasty things in the office.
The way it's phrased, it kind of sounds like workplace bullying.
All the gossip. Have MC be in a fight from nearly start to finish. In the end, he discovers a drug den run by Jay's dad. All the workers are kidnapped.
All the known crimes. Drug dealing, kidnapping.
Jay also stumbles across this at the end. Okay, so maybe that's kind of Jay's kick-off point to be like, hey, this is shit, I don't want to do this. Like, people talk about me behind my back and they write on my desk.
I know somebody ate my lunch. They say they didn't.
Episode 2. MC prepares to take out the drug den with limited supplies. Oh, because he hasn't got any gadgets or weapons and stuff. Hasn't really been a problem before. But okay.
Yeah, I guess like maybe
the people are armed.
He still
guns.
had access to some sort of weapons and
He does in the end, but with the help of Jay. Unknown to Jay, MC is there. How does Jay not realise that MC is there if he's just like beating the shit out of people? But Jay has worked with him for years. If all the lights go out and people start getting stabbed, is he going to be like, maybe it's a samurai?
I guess, though, in a way, you're sort of sowing seeds for MC doing his Batman bit.
Yeah.
Like, he's sort of having to scrape together whatever gear he can, and then he's like, batarangs.
Ninja ranks. Gav is looking for the perfect chance to propose to Louise, but he's always interrupted. He's been doing this for months. How is every single time just happens? MC helps return people to their homes. This makes him think of his own family and returns home just as Gav is about to propose again. Punching wall bit.
So earlier you said that MC has bloody knuckles because he's punching the walls.
Yeah.
So MC's like, I know we've had our problems, but, I miss my friends. They're like family to me. I should go back and see how they are. But first, I got to punch this wall.
What I'd imagine is he comes back to the B&B and he kind of breaks down to Louise and just confesses all of his repressed emotions. Sure. And there's a lot of them.
Yeah, so it would take a couple days.
So maybe he gets a bit worked up.
Yeah,
and he punches the wall and that kind of settles him down a bit or something like that. And it's a good way, I think, to drive a wedge between Gav and Louise again. It's like, Gav is like, right, okay, it's been months, I'm going to try and propose again. And then fucking MC comes back, and they have to have this whole big talk and reunion.
Yeah, and sort of Louise putting MC above Gav.
Yeah. I quite like the idea of MC like helping a bunch of people to get home to their families, and then that is kind of his realisation.
That's a good
thing,
isn't it?
Yeah. Episode 3. MC speaks about putting the family back together.
So thinking the Blues Brothers now.
It's got a bit Fast and Furious, hasn't it, with all the family talk. Gav mentions starting a family to Louise, but she doesn't want to start a family when they're in constant danger. Gav isn't happy.
I mean, it's the point.
I mean, the last baby they had didn't go very well. Jay tells his dad he wants to leave the company. His dad is honest about what he's doing at the company. Oh, so Jay's like, I want to leave. And Jay's like, well, I do all the crime.
Is it that, like... I don't know.
I guess he's like maybe being honest to Jay for the first time in a long time. Like, yes, look, we do all this bad stuff.
Sure.
Maybe there's like, he has a charity department, but also we kidnap workers for drug dens. MC continues to make things and tries to rescue Jay. They get him back. Jay's dad swears revenge.
Okay, so I guess Jay goes along, is like, Dad, I want to leave.
Yeah.
And then his dad kidnaps him because he's good at that. And then sort of reveals like the full extent of all the villain.
Yeah.
He just has like an evil villain moment where he's like, got to tell someone about my plan.
Yeah, maybe he tells him about the zombies or something.
Yeah.
But do you know what? As an opening kind of 3 episodes, that's all we have in terms of things that are planned out.
Yeah.
It's quite a nice way to bring the guys back together.
Yeah.
There's it doesn't feel too out there.
Yeah.
As far as this show goes.
Yeah. And although the whole thing is dumb, it does set up the thing about Gav and Louise sort of drifting apart and that kind of thing.
Yeah, it gets the band back together and does kind of lean more into that lighter tone after this, hopefully, apart from Gav, who's just...
Sorry, Gav.
Yeah, his first love has broken his heart, so... You can't have kids at 15, Gav. And that kind of definitely sets Jay's dad up as the antagonist for the season at this point. Do you know what, though? Not a single mention of Tanis or Mrs. Lansbury.
That is a good point, because they... Yeah, Tanis was... Didn't he just leave?
I think so.
He killed Amy and then just left.
But there was no mention of... MC like going like feral, like a Wolverine style rage and killing Tanis.
Yeah.
There was no mention of like an exorcism to get rid of Mrs. Lansbury or how that would have worked.
Yeah.
It very much read like they had won and they'd be back this season.
Yes.
But there's been absolutely no mention of them.
Yeah. And yeah, if MC is sort of like you said in this sort of feral state, roaming the streets for evil to fight, wouldn't he go after the guy who killed his baby daughter that he literally learned to love like 5 minutes before her neck is snapped?
And has Mrs. Lansbury just given up as well?
Yeah.
Or maybe I had intended to finish them off last season, but I just hadn't put it in the notes.
Yeah. Do you have like a really unsatisfying prologue where they're like, and then MC finds Tanis and kills him,
fire.
Yeah. And then Mrs. Lansbury gets exercised, the end.
I tell you what, let's just get the notebook and just see what we wrote about that. Okay, so this is the end of how season 4 would have ended. So let's just see what we said. So we said MC is in his underground hideout. Tanis is in his underground hideout. He makes a deal with MC that if MC beats him, he'll get Amy back. But he raises a bunch of former Ku Klux ninjas that MC has to fight. makes a reference to learning more about possession. Okay.
But I guess MC doesn't pick up on that.
Yeah. So, yeah, we've got a mention here of Mrs. Lansbury still around. MC fights a ninja, celebrates with Amy. Tannis snatches her and breaks her neck. Okay. That's it. That's all it is. That's
and then just MC mourns at the end.
Yeah, there's no mention of, like,
Tannis or...
Yeah.
Presumably, I guess it could have been that MC kills Tannis, and that was sort of Tannis's final act of revenge, even though he knows that he can't... Like, he knows he can't beat MC, but he can sort of make him suffer.
I guess.
Or it could be that that Tannis just sort of runs away, escapes in his
just never mention them again.
Yeah. Maybe there was a big break between Series 4 and Series 5, and you wanted to tell this other story about, like, bringing the gang back together, back to their sort of the original roots. And Tannis and Mrs. Lansbury is just kind of in the way.
Do you think I just retcon them out then?
Yeah, maybe.
Because that's exactly how it feels, isn't it?
Yeah.
Huh. Unless maybe I planned out the episode.
Yeah.
And then had ideas for Series 5, and I thought, I'm not going to address them here. Maybe in my head I knew I was going to write them out of Season 4.
You've got like an overall arc for the whole thing.
Yeah.
But in terms of actual episodes, you've only got, 3 listed, and sort of ideas for maybe another 3 or 4 or whatever.
Yeah.
So there's still plenty of room in a series to address all that stuff.
Yeah. But how weird. Like, I mean, it kind of fits in with the show that we just never addressed this big story arc, but okay, fine. The B&B is ghost-free, apparently, and Tannis is no longer around. Everything's okay. Yay!
Hey.
Well, one of the final pieces of notes we have, MC, are just some of the listed ideas for episodes. Mm-hmm. So we have the last episode, which is, I guess, when Gav gets vamped. Mm-hmm. We have a Christmas special, where Jay's dad makes them vulnerable somehow. Lunatic Asylum, which is a very lovely way of saying putting that. Louise's Dream, which is the alternative universe. Yeah. We have 3 lots of zombie episodes. So I guess that's the zombie army apocalypse thing. Goodbye, Terry.
No, that's the saddest one.
Guy having nightmares.
Oh, yeah.
And then the Lee episode.
Okay.
So that's 10 episodes. And normally I would try and aim for 15 per season. So I guess there was still more room to play around with some ideas. Yeah.
But I mean, if you're... Tannis was... How many series was it? And Mrs. Lansbury? How many? Was that 1 series or 2 series that they were in?
Just 1.
Right. But I mean, there's not that much room to end them in that space.
And especially if they're... Because you'd feel like they'd be in the early episodes as well. Yeah. They'd need to put that to bed before they could do anything else.
It would have been better if the Tannis and Mrs. Lansbury thing was that was the impetus to make MC think about his family more, his friends more, and for driving the wedge between Louise and Gav, and Jay's dad could have got mixed up in it as well, and that was sort of brings in Jay as well.
Yeah.
But no, zombie apocalypse.
Maybe it's... I think I just would have gone back and ended it at the end there. That is my guess.
Okay.
But then, I mean, Tannis is not so bad because, you could have MC going crazy, and mad, kill him.
Yeah.
Mrs. Lansbury's a bit different.
Yeah, because the only sort of counter to her in previous episodes was Amy. And, well...
And she did.
Yeah. Yep. So, unless they just move out of the B&B...
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Unless she's just quieter in this one, or if she becomes like Casper, a more friendly, helpful ghost. She's like the bellboy now. But I think you can definitely see the way I've kind of laid some of these episodes out. They're definitely kind of more one-off episodes with stuff happening in the background as well, in a way.
Yeah.
Which I think maybe I got a bit annoyed with the format of season 4 because it was a bit all over the place. So I've just tried to make that a bit better.
I do wonder if you sort of went back after, a month or something and read through series 4 and you were like, oh God, this is so dark. And then you just sort of didn't address the Tannis and Mrs. Lansbury because you want to just get away from it entirely. Because you say like, oh, I want this one to be lighter. Also, how does MC deal with a guy who murdered his baby daughter?
I don't know, but surely I can't just not mention it, especially Mrs. Lansbury.
Yeah.
She lives in the fucking B&B. Oh, who knows? But I mean, that's all we're going to be able to find out, MC, because that is the end of the notes we have for season 5.
Oh, no.
So how do you think that season kind of dealt with things and was?
So, I mean, the the Louise Gav MC love triangle is just fucking dumb.
Yeah. There was no mention of a resolution as well, so it was like...
Well, I mean, the resolution is that Gav gets killed by Chip. Gav hangs out with the dodgy kids in the park, gets turned into a vampire.
The chavvy vampires.
Yeah.
I reckon maybe Louise's confession came quite late.
Yeah.
So it's not like episode 3, Louise is like, I love you, MC, and he's like, I'm sorry, I don't love you. But then they just all live together for the rest of the season. I reckon that must have been quite late.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the idea of returning to basics a bit more, making it a bit less dark and
there's an opportunity, I think, for something interesting with Jay potentially. Like you don't mention that much, like what Jay actually does. Like he doesn't want to do evil stuff, but beyond that we don't really know. And the dynamic with Jay and Jay's dad is potentially interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So
it's definitely broad strokes, isn't it? Those notes. It's very much like, here's the plot points I want to hit, but kind of the relationships in between would have come out in the writing, I guess, and with more planning, like I normally would have done before I started writing it properly. So I guess you would have the gang almost back to square one, where it's like, hey, we're just a fun-loving bunch of friends. Let's go kill some things. Which would have been quite nice, I think, to see.
It would have been a palate cleanser for sure.
Oh god, yeah, we needed that.
Yeah.
Well, MC, we've kind of hinted at how the show would have ended, so which I have quite clear in my head. So we came across some notes for that. So we already spoiled this on Chip, sort of, but we're just going to read these couple of lines that we have and then go through how I was going to end with the movie special.
The final.
So at the start of episode 1, have a section where the gang with Chip appear out of a crater of some sorts. They are beaten and bloody but happy. They celebrate hugging each other. This is basically the happy ending to Tomuarigassen. Have the writing speak about their victory. They are beaten but together.
Okay, so this is like the sort of after they've finished fighting the big villain and they win after a tough battle.
Yeah.
And they all learn to love each other and blah, 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 blah.
Well, this would have been them after going to hell to take out all the evil, as mentioned in Chip.
Okay, sure.
So I would have put this at the start of season 1 as a kind of teaser and a lie, and just never mention it again until the end.
Okay.
So what would have happened is that Chip is questioning the Kukla over in New York. He gets all this information. He finds out, he gets Shinno Khan back and realizes that they've basically been manipulated and groomed and that sort of thing, and all very nasty stuff.
I mean, Louise is the groomer.
And then Chip would have come to London.
Yeah.
And he just would have appeared and saved them from Vampire Gav.
Sure.
So it would have been like his dramatic entrance. Like, I don't know how Gav would suddenly have been stronger than everyone or whatever.
Yeah.
But he got the bad crowd to help him. They're all throwing stink bombs at the gang.
I mean, Gav was already a very good fighter, but with vampire powers as well.
Exactly. And kind of being angry and jealous just to fuel that blood rage.
Yeah.
So Chip would have just turned up randomly, like behind the dusted Gav. And then he would have been like, oh, we need to talk or something, and he would then explain everything he's found out about how he and MC are making things much worse because they're overfilling hell, and hell is now spilling out onto Earth and that sort of thing. And obviously MC's had hints with it with Lee and stuff. So Chip's overall plan is to go to hell and have like a big end battle to end it all.
Sure.
So kind of to take them out of the picture. Because it's a suicide mission, basically. And it would have been the original 4. So MC, Chip, Louise, and Jay.
Sure, okay.
Which is why Gav gets killed off.
Right.
Which is why Chip tells Ridley and Kat not to come. And it's those 4 in the movie special. The ending of it is that they go to hell. And you think because you've seen, because they'd find the entrance to hell on Earth, which is this crater.
Right.
And then the audience would think, blah, 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 we've seen them come out of this all happy and it's fine.
Right.
But they don't. You just slowly see them fighting and get killed off one by one.
Right.
And as we spotted in Chip as well, everyone dies. And that's how it would have ended.
You're a miserable cunt. Miserable fucking cunt, weren't you?
It just felt like the ending that worked for the show.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I guess them killing literally every denizen of hell would have been a bit...
And I think I was probably still upset about the angel ending at the time, even though that kind of works for that show as well. But...
It's interesting in a way in that it's kind of pointless. And I guess that sort of ties in with their pointless quest. Like all the shit they've done, Although, yeah, okay, they've averted apocalypses, but just sort of generally it's been pointless. Like, it has been counterproductive.
Yeah.
They have created more bad shit on Earth as a result of trying to do good. And they're still within that mindset of, like, if there's a problem, you hit it with a sword.
Yeah. Until it stops moving.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that Batman conundrum is like, would the Joker exist if there was no Batman?
Sure.
You know, kind of stealing that idea as well. You're like, none of this is original. I don't know if you have picked up on that or not. And yeah, so it's like, if they sacrifice themselves, they'd break that cycle or something as well. I really wish I'd finished this because I would love to know what I did with like Shinno Khan and stuff like that. Like, would he have been on their side? Would he have not? Because he's obviously still a ghost, so whether he would have got involved or not, if Chip kills him, or you know, what would have happened with there? But that was the idea of how it was all gonna end.
Is Chip the last man standing?
No, I think it was one of those things where I think Louise and Jay go first. I don't know why they go, but they're a part of the gang.
What, in terms of they die first?
Well, just like I mean, they're not ninjas. They're not the Ku
Well, yeah,
Klux,
for sure. So
but
obviously
they are the gang.
Yeah, sure.
So I think that's why they're kind of like, especially Louise is like, well, the man I love doesn't love me.
Yeah.
And I've just tried to be killed by my ex.
Yeah.
And Jay's like, well, my dad's just slit his wrists. And in a way, they were kind of part of the problem in quotation marks as well, in that they helped the ninjas do what they do.
And also, they've always been so up for joining in the fight. Well, sometimes Jay wanted to get away, but you know, when push comes to shove,
he was always there.
Yeah, and it kind of, again, it fits in with that mentality that they've had this whole time, that they've kind of been groomed for, I guess, of like fight, self-sacrifice. That is how you win.
Yeah.
So that would absolutely fit in with their mindset.
Yeah, exactly. And it was me trying to go back to like the original series as well and how dumb that was.
Yeah.
They'd be like, oh, they trained in a year. And it's kind of like, well, they were like, it was going to be something like they were imbued with the power of a demon or something like that.
Right.
Like some evil force.
So literally Buffy.
Yeah.
Literally ripping off Buffy.
Pretty much. Yeah. And that is why they all went off the rails in a way as well, because like their destiny wasn't their own, their mind wasn't their own, their soul wasn't their own. And as well as breaking the cycle of the Ku Klux ninjas, it was just trying to like get off that path that they were on, that they weren't in control of, and to try and do some good as well. And that's the end.
Does Chip look around hell and be like, I remember this place?
Oh, that would have been good, actually, yeah. Like he knows all the ways and stuff like that. But to answer your original question, which you asked about 5 minutes ago, Louise and Jay would have died first, because obviously there's like hundreds and hundreds of demons.
Yeah.
So, but it would have ended with like Chip and MC back to back,
nice.
and just slowly getting swarmed by all the demons, and they go out together.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, how romantic.
And there we have the end of Tomuarigassen. Well, MC, what did you make of season 5 and all the endings to this season particularly? Because what we're going to do is this is the penultimate episode.
Yeah.
And we're going to come back next week, and we're going to do like just a retrospective of the show as a whole. And we'll talk to each other, maybe talk to some other people that we've named characters after. And just answer some questions if people have any questions as well. But for now, series 5 and the ending of Tomuarigassen.
Yeah, so I mean we've already discussed a bunch of it as well. I guess you talking about the final scene, that is like full circle, isn't it? It starts with MC and Chip being like bros, like fighting together, and it ends with that as well. So it's good to have that sort of full circle kind of thing, especially after they've kind of, when did Chip even go evil?
Season 2.
Season 2.
Yeah.
So they've had like 2-3 seasons of them kind of hating each other and not seeing each other, and
pretty much,
and then they're back again.
Yeah, there's only one season and a bit where they're mates.
So yeah, I guess although it's a bad ending for them because they die in hell, generally quite bad. In a strange way, it's a good ending in that they end this cycle. They, of the sort of slowly increasing the sort of net evil on Earth. They break that kind of conditioning curse of the Ku Klux. Potentially, if Chip or whatever kills Shinno Khan, or if Shinno Khan changes his mind. Although it's kind of vague about how many other Ku Klux entities there are.
Yeah, a lot of this is us filling in the blanks.
But nonetheless, at least on Earth, I guess that's it, because Lee's dead as well. Yep. So there's no more Kuklaw on Earth.
Yeah, I think there's the idea, because again, it's so vague. We just have these notes to run off and some memories that I have, but because it's like, why didn't they just go after the Kuklaw then?
Yeah.
But I think there is some sort of like, the Kuklaw are some sort of like high, mighty power, like a god or something like that can't really be touched or changed. They're just the puppet string masters of the world or whatever, so they decide to go out this way.
So that does, it's a very unpleasant ending. It's a bad ending that has sort of good overtones to it,
and it is the angel ending, which makes it even better, because it's like, it has its roots in its own kind of stories, which again have been pinched from a lot of different places, but it is the angel ending, and it's nice that we end the show by stealing from something that we began the show with. Well, if you have any thoughts, feelings, emotions, anger that you have about the final series of Tomuarigassen, or if you just want to get in touch and ask us some questions for our retrospective in our next episode, did you know, for the penultimate time, there's numerous ways in which you can get in touch. You can find us on Facebook. We're at facebook.com/HowIRippedOffPodcast.
And we're also on Twitter at How I Ripped Off.
And you can find our entire cat batalogue. God, how long have we been doing this? You can find our entire back catalogue on SoundCloud, Stitcher Radio, iTunes, YouTube, and Spotify.
And if you want to leave like a memorial for Terry, the only bright spot in a giant pile of shit.
It just turns up in one episode, he's like, right, I'm off. All right, bye, Terry. Thanks for being the best character.
Leave a review of Terry. Just how good he was.
Come leave us a 5-star rating based on how many seasons there are.